I don't think there's a single institution in this country as well positioned as Washington Mutual is today. We want to build something that is so unique, that has such great opportunities for employees and our customers and our communities and our stockholders that no other company in this country can possibly match us.
What really matters to me when I come to work every day is that I'm making a difference to the client, because that's really the bottom line.
But I'm
that we're actually
building myself. I'm feeding my
On the other side,
soul
we need to make hard business decisions based on
We are
facts.
letting humans be human.
We love to win.
A brilliant idea to serve the community.
It's the people that make the difference.
Feel at home. We are looking at how we can do a better job.
You're developing trust with them.
We're bringing something of value and something different.
Okay, fair.
To give everybody the same
Fair,
experience.
caring,
I
human.
care so much about our customers.
What matters to me is working with people that care about one another.
Human.
They have to know that we're
Just
human.
like we're all people, we're one big happy family.
Dynamic and driven.
We're driven. We love to compete.
Is driven to make sure that the customer comes first.
That's what drives us.
People are the most important part of Washington Mutual. Without people, we are nothing.
I think the core values of Washington Mutual started when the company was founded back in 1889. In fact, the company was started in order to help rebuild the city and to help the community. And over time, there have been many, many examples of how the values have come to the forefront to help us through some challenging times.
The spring of 1889 had been a rare one in Seattle. The long stretch of dry, 70-degree days, which seemed to be the perfect antidote to the winter doldrums, in fact proved to be catastrophic. On the afternoon of June 6th, in the basement of the Pontius building, as woodworker John Back stirred a pot of glue over a gasoline fire, the pot boiled over onto the wood floor, where, fueled by turpentine and wood chips, the fire soon blazed out of control. In the smoldering wake of this destruction, thousands found themselves displaced, destitute, and without employment. On June 30th, 1890, Edward O. Graves, a Hobart College dropout and former junior clerk in the Treasury Department, stepped off the Northern Pacific in blackened Seattle, clutching a bank charter. Graves' vision was to rebuild from the ashes what would soon become a bigger and better Seattle. Taking an office on the ground floor of the Kilgan Building, Graves rolled up his sleeves and set to work. The Washington National Building Loan and Investment Association opened its doors and began rebuilding the city out of the rubble, offering the first home installment loans on the Pacific Coast. In a matter of a few short years, Seattle was enjoying the unprecedented success which Graves had envisioned, and a major hub of culture and commerce was born out of the ashes. Having expanded its assets by 68% during World War I, Washington National, now Washington Mutual, emerged with a reputation as the strongest savings institution in the state. But the days of steady growth which marked the Jazz Age came to a grinding halt with the crash. As the Depression worsened, tent settlements began sprouting up in cities across America, as was the case just south of modern-day Pioneer Square near the banks of the Duwamish. At a time when confidence was at a low ebb in financial institutions, Washington Mutual invested money in the Puget Sound region, including the purchase of $250,000 in bonds to cover the costs of unemployment relief. Where mortgages were concerned, Washington Mutual opted for a policy of relief rather than foreclosure, implementing the mortgage tolerance policy. As Harry Baldwin later explained it, there was no use in owning a great many homes in Seattle if there was no point in living in Seattle. Our job wasn't to get into the real estate business, it was to stay in the banking business and make friends. In the months preceding Washington Mutual's 50th anniversary, Hitler invaded Poland, and rearmament quickly became the U.S. mantra. Issuing a series of defense bonds to finance the military buildup, the Treasury asked Dietrich Schmitz to head bond sales in King County, which proved to be one of the most successful campaigns in the nation. As America assumed a new role of world leadership in the post-war era, Washington Mutual took its place at the forefront of interstate expansion, opening 33 branches in 20 different Washington markets over the course of the next 20 years, including Ballard, Bellevue, Spokane, Pullman, and Vancouver. The 1970s would prove to be a watershed for innovation, even by Washington Mutual standards. pay by phone, the exchange, and the revolutionary ATM machine were just a few of the many service-oriented innovations the bank implemented during this era. Yet, amidst all this change, WAMU championed the need for low-cost housing in the troubled inner cities, devising the step-rate loan to lower the income threshold for borrowers. In the late 70s, interest rates began to skyrocket. By the dawn of the 80s, many savings and loans were insolvent, and with losses totaling nearly $5 million a month, Washington Mutual was no exception. In fact, the bank's very existence was at stake. His fellow trustees asked board member Lou Pepper to take the helm in navigating Washington Mutual back to solid ground. With Pepper in the driver's seat, Washington Mutual soon turned the corner. The bank charter allowed for the key acquisition of Murphy Favor, making Washington Mutual the first bank in the country to own a full-service brokerage firm. The acquisition brought whiz kid Kerry Killinger on board, a move that would pay dividends far into the future. Call Pepper a shrewd judge of talent. The Killinger era marked an unprecedented period of acquisition and growth. Chief among WAMU's 30-plus bank acquisitions were Pacific First of Portland, Oregon, American Savings of Irvine, California, Great Western of Chatsworth, California, H.F. Amundsen of Irwindale, California, Bank United of Houston, Texas, and Dime Savings of New York. Bigger soon began to mean better. WAMU brought product and pricing concepts such as free checking into markets where it formerly didn't exist, raising the bar for an entire industry. As the new millennium arrived, WAMU continued its legacy of forward thinking. Ocasio was born, a bold new design concept in personal banking. In an era where banking trends were geared towards mechanized corner cutting, WAMU boldly went the other direction, implementing a high-touch approach to retail banking. The design was enthusiastically embraced by customers throughout the nation, paving the way for expansion in Las Vegas, Phoenix, Atlanta, Chicago, and Denver. When many banks were pulling back from home lending, WAMU acquired PNC Mortgage, Fleet Mortgage, Homeside Lending, Long Beach Financial, and North American Mortgage. These bold moves positioned WAMU as one of the nation's largest home lenders, and the acquisition of Providian Financial in 2005 made WAMU one of the nation's leading credit card providers. By 2006, WAMU had grown to become the nation's 6th largest banking organization. As we continue to look toward the future, we keep one eye on the past and the values that have served us so well through the years. The bank that was born out of the need of its customers and communities over a century ago, the bank that grew up with America, will continue to answer the call of history.
I think the challenge of the genesis of Washington Mutual required people to be not only fair, caring, and human, obviously, on that level of trying to rebuild a city and help people rebuild their lives, but to be able to do what they did and to do it with a sense of speed and urgency required them to be dynamic and driven. So in that regard, those 5 values have always been part of Washington Mutual.
Living the values is the most important thing we as employees have to do.
One of the key reasons I came here a year ago, after being with another company for 18 years, is the values of this company. I think it's different, I think it's important, I think it's powerful. I would not have been as interested in joining Washington Mutual if the values were something that were just words up on a bulletin board, and that's true in a lot of companies. It's not here.
What makes us unique is that we're balanced.
The balance of being fair, caring, human, and dynamic and driven is absolutely critical. Too much of either one can lead to things that you didn't actually want.
We should be those values, implement them, show that we care, show that we're human, go the extra mile, show that you're driven.
Be nice to one another. Work hard at your job. Work smart at your job. Try hard. Always be pleasant. You'll succeed in business and you'll succeed as a human being. That's a nice way to live your life.
I try to live the core values. I try to bring the core values into everything I do. One afternoon we were out feeding the homeless and it was raining, and I happened to run into someone at the grocery store and they were like, "Oh, I remember you from downtown working for Washington Mutual." So those are the things that I like to be remembered for when I'm out in the community.
For a bank that would be willing to step out of the mold and help customers, help people to step out and try something new and treat them like they're real people, that human side was absolutely just the most amazing thing.
It's absolutely urgent that every employee, every executive, every manager in this company understand that these values are not just words, they're a differentiator that are going to really define whether Washington Mutual wins or loses in the future.
I think the way that an employee can be that differentiation between us and our competition, the way that they can deliver on that service, is to exemplify, to embody those 5 values.
It was very amazing. In one office that I went into, we are welcoming these customers as they're coming in to start their day. I believe, just with that experience alone, that the core values stand for something.
You can be the dynamic human individual that you are. And coupled, when you bring all 55,000 employees together and we're all balancing all of those core values, unstoppable.
Because if we all live these values, then I think there's no other means at which we can be compared against our competition.
Culture is how we do things, and it's building on that core foundation and expanding on that and making sure that as we grow, we don't lose sight of who we are, but we also have a vision of who we want to be.
We are looking at how we can do a better job. What markets can we continue to grow? What areas can we be better at, be more effective, and be more efficient?
When everyone in the company has a shared vision, they know where we want to take the company, they know how to get there, and then it's all about execution. How are we going to do it? All great companies line those things all up in a very positive way. And when it happens, there's a magic that just hits. The performance is better than you ever thought it could be. The opportunities abound, and you know, everyone wakes up one day and looks back and says, wow, how did they do that?
The sky's the limit. If someone's willing to give a piece of their heart and their life, you know, there's really no limit to what you can do with this company.
People love this company. They want it to do well, and they want to live these values, and they understand them at a level that's beyond what I've seen before. But we can always do better.
Fair, caring, and human can be a huge edge for us. You can't fake that. That can only be real.
Each and every one of us has to be on the same page and has to have the same passion.
I think we're at the point of taking that next step, and I'm definitely excited to have not only being part of it, but also to have an impact on it as well.
Somebody once said that our execution will get us success, but our attitude will get us greatness. I want both.